Yeah, I don't think if you're a young person growing up in this country and you're eating fast food and not even in a very unhealthy way, like fast food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but just like I'm having a salad and I went to the store and I got a salad dressing. It's called Healthy Choice on it. And I started pouring it on.
Nature Select.
We must just be drowning in this oil, and it's got to be affecting these kids.
It's affecting kids in ways you couldn't even imagine. It affects us. Once I get people off of seed oils, the first thing they'll tell me is they can have Dawson skin, really light skin. They'll say, I don't burn anymore, or I don't burn as severely. Things like sunburns stop happening. Sleep apnea, all sorts of things just happen immediately when you go off of seed oil.
Because you're not cooking from the inside, like if you're spraying seed oil on your skin.
I've had doctors explain it to me as way beyond my scope.
Wow.
But what it does to the telomeres and everything else, Dr. Drew or one of those guys can probably talk to what happens internally.
You mentioned fast food, and it reminded me that trans fats had like a really big run for like 3 or 5 years. Was that overblown? Are trans fats even bad?
Brian, you can't call them that.
They're horrible for you.
Why? What are they?
We call them tranny fats now, Ryan, or drag fats.
Understood.
The trans fats are horrible because they're seed oils, and what they do is they cook them down. Trans fats have always been bad.
Okay.
And that's where, the vegans and those groups, they'll say, well, all these hamburgers are bad. They're full of trans fats. It's not the meat that has the trans fat. It's what they cook them in. And to that point, when we were kids, again, not when you were kids, McDonald's French fries were awesome. I mean, awesome, because they were cooked in beef tallow.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
It gives a nice golden brown on the outside, and they were nice and plump, and on the inside, it would hold all that flavor. Once they started using seed oils, which, by the way, when you cook them, they only fill that
trough
once every 4 or 5 days. By the time it cools off that first night and then they heat it up again the 7th, you're making a trans fat right there.
Oh, really?
So we've actually made the French fries that were bad for you, really bad for you.
Oh, shit. Oh.
Yeah, and from what I understand, they don't taste the way they tasted when I was a kid. I haven't had one, but...
It's not enough that you look like somebody. You need to look like the Down syndrome version of that.
You know what's tough? I just look like Down syndrome. Just Down syndrome. Which is a real bummer.
And then Haley Joel Osment looks like you with Down syndrome.
Yeah.
So
I look like your handler. I'm like, he's very functional. Look at him.